Captain Jack Miller stood on the bridge of the Earth Alliance starship Resilience, his eyes fixed on the vast sea of stars that stretched before him. The ship hummed quietly around him, a perfect machine built by the toughest species in the known galaxy, though humans didn't know that yet. Jack enjoyed these rare, quiet moments. Space was mostly empty and peaceful, until it wasn't. "Captain, you should see this." The voice belonged to Lisa Green, the ship's communications officer. Her fingers moved quickly over her console, her brow furrowed in concentration. "What is it, Officer Green?" Jack asked, walking over to her station. "A signal, sir, not one of ours. Not like anything in our databases." Jack's heart beat faster. The Resilience was humanity's most advanced ship, sent to explore the outer reaches of the Orion Arm. Humans had been sending messages to the stars for centuries, hoping for an answer. They had built faster-than-light engines just 20 years ago. But until now, no one had found proof of other intelligent life. "Put it on speakers," he ordered, his voice steady despite the excitement building in his chest. The bridge filled with strange sounds, clicks and whistles in a pattern that was clearly not random noise. The sounds repeated every 42 seconds exactly. "The ship's computer says it's a mathematical sequence," Lisa explained. "Prime numbers, then what looks like a simple counting system, then something more complex. Can we translate it?" Jack asked. Tom White, the science officer, joined them at the console. "Not fully, but the pattern is clear. It's an SOS, a call for help. Whoever made this wanted to be sure any intelligent species could understand they're in trouble." "Location?" Jack asked. "Epsilon Eridani system," Lisa replied. "About 3 days away at full speed." The bridge grew quiet. Everyone understood what this meant. First contact with alien life would happen not through careful diplomacy, but through an emergency rescue. Anna Reed, the ship's security chief, moved to Jack's side. She was always direct. "Could be a trap, sir." Jack nodded. This had occurred to him too. "Explain." "If I wanted to lure an unknown ship, I'd send a distress call. Universal language, appeals to the helper instinct." Anna crossed her arms. "We should report to Earth Command first, get instructions." "And how long would that take?" Jack asked, though he knew the answer. "At least 2 weeks for a message to reach Earth and a response to return to us." Jack walked to the center of the bridge, feeling the eyes of his crew on him. This was why he was captain, to make the hard calls. He turned to face them. "Whoever sent that signal might not have 2 weeks," he said. "They might not have 3 days. But that's how long it will take us to reach them, so we better start now." "Sir," Anna protested. "Regulations clearly state." Jack held up his hand. "I know the regulations, Chief Reed. I also know why we're out here. To explore, to discover, to make contact." He looked around at his crew. "And to help when help is needed." "We don't know what we're flying into," Anna argued, though her voice had softened. "No, we don't," Jack agreed. "That's why we'll approach with caution. Shields up, weapons ready, but not targeting unless threatened." He turned to Tom. "Set course. For Epsilon Eridani. Maximum speed." "Yes, sir," Tom replied, already inputting commands. The Resilience hummed louder as its engines powered up. The stars on the view screen shifted as the massive ship changed course. Dr. Ben White, the ship's medical officer, entered the bridge. "I heard we picked up a signal." "Alien distress call," Jack confirmed. "We're responding." Ben's eyes widened. "I'll prepare medical. We might need to treat injuries unlike anything we've seen before." "Good thinking," Jack said. "Work with Tom. See if the signal gives any clues about their biology." As Ben and Tom huddled over the science station, Jack returned to his command chair. The weight of his decision pressed on him. Earth had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now, they had their answer. But would this first contact be peaceful, or would it lead to something darker? "Captain," Anna said quietly, standing beside his chair. "I still think this is risky, but..." She hesitated. "If they really need help, I'm glad we're the ones answering the call." Jack nodded. That's why Earth built this ship, Anna. Not just to look, but to reach out. He gave her a small smile. Have your security teams ready, but let's hope we make friends, not enemies. Always prepared for both, sir, she replied, returning to her station. The next 3 days passed in a blur of preparation. The crew trained for every possible first contact scenario, from medical emergencies to defensive maneuvers. Scientists studied the signal, extracting every bit of information they could. Engineers checked and rechecked the ship's systems. Jack barely slept. When he did, his dreams were filled with strange creatures and unknown worlds. Humanity had always looked to the stars and wondered. Now he would be the first human to meet whatever waited out there. On the 3rd day, the Resilience approached the edge of the Epsilon Eridani system. Dropping out of FTL in 3, 2, 1, Tom announced. The view screen showed a yellow star similar to Earth's sun, with planets orbiting around it. The signal was coming from near the 4th planet, a blue-green world that looked eerily like Earth. There, Lisa said, pointing to a spot on the screen. Something in orbit around that planet. Tom zoomed in. A ship appeared, unlike any human vessel. It looked like crystal globes connected by metal tubes. One of the globes had a large crack in it with debris floating around it. Life signs? Jack asked. Yes, Tom replied, his voice filled with wonder. Different from human patterns, but definitely alive. I count about 30 individuals. Any other ships in the system? None that we can detect, Lisa said. But there's damage to that vessel that looks like weapons fire. Jack stood, straightening his uniform. Send a message. All frequencies, basic mathematical response to show we understood their distress call. Let them know we're here to help. Sending now, Lisa confirmed. Minutes passed. The bridge crew held their breath. Captain, Lisa finally said, they're responding. The wire. Speakers came to life again, but this time the alien sounds were followed by a series of tones that matched the Resilience's message pattern. They understood us, Tom said, his voice barely above a whisper. The alien ship slowly turned, orienting itself toward the Resilience. A new message came through, longer and more complex. They're sending visual data, Lisa reported, putting it on screen. The view screen flickered, then showed the interior of the alien vessel. Creatures moved about, 6-limbed beings with shimmering skin that reflected light like insect shells. One approached what must have been their camera, its large compound, eyes seeming to stare directly at the humans. This is it, Jack said quietly. First contact. The alien made a series of gestures, then spoke in its clicking language. To everyone's surprise, mathematical symbols appeared beneath it, followed by simple pictures. They're trying to establish basic communication, Tom explained, using math and images as a universal language. The alien pointed to its ship, then made a motion like something breaking. It pointed to the stars, then made a slashing motion. I think, Anna said slowly. They're saying something attacked them. The alien then pointed to the Resilience on what must have been their view screen, and made a different gesture. Its limbs spread wide. And I think that means they're asking for our help, Jack said. He stepped forward, directly facing the camera that was sending their image to the alien ship. He pointed to the Resilience, then to their alien counterparts and nodded, making a joining motion with his hands. The alien's body language changed. Its limbs moved in what seemed like excitement or relief. Prepare a boarding team, Jack ordered. Medical, engineering, security, and communications. We're going to help them repair their ship. As the crew rushed to prepare, Jack remained watching the alien on the screen. Humanity had just made first contact, answering a call for help from the stars. What they didn't know was that this act of kindness would soon draw them into a conflict that would change the galaxy forever. On the edge of the alien ship's view screen, barely visible, was the shadow of another vessel, angular and black as space itself. It lingered just long enough to see the human ship arrive, then vanished into the darkness between stars, carrying news of the Deathworlders who had come. Jack Miller stood in the Resilience's airlock, checking his team's equipment one last time. 6 crew members would join him on the alien ship. Dr. Ben White for medical support, Chief Engineer Mike Ross, Security Officer Anna Reed with two of her team, and Communications Officer Lisa Green. All wore lightweight spacesuits with clear helmets, a sign of trust, but also caution. "Remember," Jack said, his voice calm but serious, "we are the first humans these beings have ever seen. Every move we make represents Earth." Anna checked her stunner, a non-lethal weapon that could disable without causing harm. "We come in peace, but stay alert. We still don't know what happened to their ship." The airlock cycle began, and Jack felt the familiar pressure change in his ears. Through the small window he could see the alien vessel. Up close, its crystal-like sections gleamed with an inner light, except for the damaged area, which was dark and cracked. "Docking complete," came Tom's voice through their comms. "Good luck, Captain." The outer door slid open, revealing a short tunnel connecting the two ships. At the far end stood three of the alien beings they had seen on the view screen. Six-limbed, with bodies that reflected light in rainbow patterns, they waited with what seemed like nervous movements. "Here we go," Jack said, stepping forward. "Follow my lead." The human team moved through the tunnel. Jack noticed the gravity was lighter than Earth's, perhaps 0.7 g, making each step feel bouncy. When they reached the aliens, Jack stopped at a respectful distance. He raised his hand in a simple greeting, palm open to show he held no weapon. The middle alien stepped forward. Up close, Jack could see it was about his height, though much thinner. Its exoskeleton shimmered with blues and greens. Where a human would have a mouth, it had small moving parts that reminded Jack of insect mandibles. Its large compound eyes reflected the human's images back at them. The alien raised two of its upper limbs, mimicking Jack's gesture. Then it produced a small device and held it toward the humans. The device lit up and projected holographic symbols into the air between them. Lisa moved forward, studying the symbols. "Mathematical equations," she said, "and some simple pictograms. I think they're establishing a basic communication system." For 20 minutes, Lisa worked with the alien, building a primitive translation program. The humans learned that these beings called themselves the Trill, and their ship was a science vessel. Finally, the alien device produced sounds in a halting, mechanical voice. "We thank humans for answering our call." Jack felt a chill run down his spine. The first words between two intelligent species. "We are glad to help," he replied clearly, allowing the device to record his speech patterns. "What happened to your ship?" The translation took a moment. The lead Trill, who introduced itself as Skywatcher, made a series of clicking sounds that the device translated. "We were attacked by the Void Collective. They hunt any who travel between stars." Ben stepped forward, medical scanner in hand. "Are any of your people injured?" Skywatcher's body trembled slightly. The device translated, 10 dead, 8 injured. Can your medicine help species not like yours?" "I'd like to try," Ben said. "With your permission." As Ben was led away to tend to the injured Trill, Mike examined the ship's damaged sections. The crystal spheres, he learned, were both living quarters and power generators, using the light of stars to create energy. One had been severely damaged by what appeared to be some kind of energy weapon. "We might be able to help repair this," Mike told Jack. "Their technology is different but follows principles we understand." While the teams worked, Jack and Anna followed Skywatcher to the Trill ship's command center. Holographic displays showed star systems unfamiliar to human eyes. "How many worlds do the Trill have?" Jack asked. 3 home planets, 12 colonies," Skywatcher replied, the translation becoming smoother as the device learned. "We are peaceful explorers. We search for knowledge, not conquest. And these attackers, the Void Collective, what do they want?" Anna asked. Skywatcher's body darkened, a sign they later learned meant distress or fear. "They believe only they deserve the stars. All others must prove worthiness or be eliminated. We discovered one of their outposts by accident. They have hunted us since." Jack frowned. "How many ships do they have?" "Many. They are powerful. Their ships are black like space itself. They have destroyed 4 of our worlds already. Anna and Jack exchanged worried glances. This was more serious than they had thought. You should leave, Skywatcher continued. When they find you helped us, they will mark humans for elimination too. Jack stood straighter. We don't abandon those who need help. How long until they might arrive? Days, perhaps less. Our distress call may have attracted them. Then we better work quickly, Jack said. How can we help repair your ship? Over the next hours, Human and Trill worked side by side. The Human engineers were surprised to find they could lift materials the Trill struggled with. When Mike accidentally cut his hand on a sharp piece of metal, the Trill watched in amazement as he simply bandaged it and continued working. Your body repairs itself quickly, Skywatcher observed, and you are very strong. Just normal humans, Mike shrugged. Nothing special about us. One of the Trill scientists approached Skywatcher and spoke rapidly in their clicking language. Skywatcher's body brightened with blue colors. What is it? Jack asked. My science officer is surprised, Skywatcher explained. Your world must be very harsh. High gravity, high oxygen, extreme temperatures. On our world, such conditions would kill us. Earth harsh? Jack smiled. We just call it home. There is a term in galactic records, Skywatcher said, for species that evolve on such difficult planets. Deathworlders, species who survive where most would die. Anna laughed. Well, I guess that's us. Deathworlders. Later, in the Trill medical bay, the humans discovered more differences. The Trill doctors watched in shock as Ben worked tirelessly for hours without rest. When offered food, the humans consumed plants and animal proteins. That would have been toxic to Trill biology. Your species is remarkable, a Trill doctor told Ben. You breathe oxygen levels that would burn our tissues. Your bones would not break on our worlds. Ben smiled. And yet we're not so different. We both explore. We both value life. Back on the Resilience, Jack held a meeting with his officers to discuss what they had learned. The repairs to their ship are going well, Mike reported. Should be complete in about 12 hours. The injured Trill are recovering, Ben added. Their biology is fascinating. Silicon-based rather than carbon. They metabolize metals we consider toxic. What about these void collective beings? Jackie asked. Anna's face was grim. From what the Trill have told us, they're systematic and ruthless. They believe most species don't deserve space travel. They test new species and almost all fail. Those that do are hunted to extinction. And now they might come after us, Lisa said quietly. Jack nodded. We need to be ready. The Trill say the collective could arrive any time. We should... He was interrupted by an urgent call from Tom on the bridge. Captain, we're detecting multiple FTL signatures entering the system. 7 ships, unknown configuration. Skywatcher, who had been listening, made a sound the translator didn't catch, but the meaning was clear from the way its body turned almost black with fear. The Void Collective has found us, it said. Jack stood. Then they're about to meet their first Deathworlders. As he hurried back to the bridge, Jack knew that humanity's first contact was about to become humanity's first interstellar conflict. The Resilience had answered a call for help. Now they would have to fight not just for their new allies, but potentially for Earth itself. The Void Collective ships emerged from FTL travel, their black angular forms like shadows against the stars. They moved with purpose, surrounding the damaged Trill vessel and the human ship beside it. They had come to finish what they started. They did not expect what waited for them. Jack Miller ran onto the bridge of the Resilience, his heart pounding. The view screen showed 7 black ships surrounding them. Each ship looked like a series of sharp angles and flat surfaces that seemed to swallow light rather than reflect. Its status report, Jack ordered, sliding into his command chair. 7 Void Collective vessels, Tom replied from the navigation station. They've positioned themselves to block all escape routes. The largest ship is directly ahead. Lisa looked up from her console. They're hailing us, Captain. Jack straightened his uniform. First contact with one alien species in a day was historic. 2 was unprecedented. On screen, he said firmly. The view screen flickered, and the bridge crew fell silent. The being that appeared looked nothing like the insect-like Trill. It had pale, almost transparent skin stretched tight over a skull twice the length of a human's. Its eyes were completely black, with no visible pupils or whites. When it moved, the movement was too smooth, like a snake rather than a person. "I am Exterminator First Class of the Void Collective," the alien said in perfect English, its voice like metal grinding on stone. "Your language was simple to extract from your communications." Jack stood. "I'm Captain Jack Miller of the Earth Alliance vessel Resilience. We are on a peaceful mission of exploration." The exterminator's expression didn't change. "You assist?" The unworthy Trill. "This marks you for judgment." "We responded to a distress call," Jack replied, "as any civilized species would." Civilization. The alien spoke the word like it tasted bad. A concept used by the weak to restrain the strong. "The galaxy has rules, human. The Trill have been judged and found wanting. Their remnants must be eliminated." Anna moved to stand beside Jack. "On what authority do you judge other species?" The alien's head tilted slightly. "We need no authority beyond strength. For 1,000,000 years we have tested rising species. Most fail. The weak do not deserve the stars." Lisa whispered to Jack. "Their translator is taking our words directly from our computer. They've hacked our systems." Jack nodded slightly, then addressed the alien again. "We don't recognize your right to judge anyone. The Trill are under our protection now." The exterminator studied them for a moment. "Earth. Oxygen, nitrogen atmosphere. High gravity. Class 5 death world. Primitive technology. Your species is no threat to the collective." Its black eyes narrowed. "Surrender the Trill and we may delay your own assessment." "Not going to happen," Jack said firmly. "Then you have made your choice." The screen went black. "They've locked weapons on the Trill ship," Tom reported urgently. "Energy buildup detected." Jack's decision was instant. "Position us between them and the Trill. Shields at maximum. Arm all weapons." The crew moved quickly, fingers flying over. "Controls." The Resilience surged forward, its engines pushing it into a protective position in front of the damaged Trill vessel. "Shields at 100%. Mike reported from engineering. "Weapons hot." The first blast from the Void Collective struck seconds later. The Resilience shuddered, the lights flickering briefly. "Shield status?" Jack demanded. "Holding at 92%, Anna reported, sounding surprised. "Their weapons are powerful, but our shields were designed to withstand micrometeorite impacts at near-light speeds. They're more effective than we expected." Jack allowed himself a small smile. "Return fire. Target their weapon systems only." The Resilience fired its main weapons, railguns that accelerated small projectiles to incredible speeds. On the view screen, they watched as the human weapons struck the lead collective ship. To everyone's surprise, the projectiles punched straight through the enemy's shields. "Direct hit," Anna called out. "Their forward weapons array is damaged." A second collective ship moved to fire, but Tom had already adjusted their position. Another railgun barrage disabled its main engine. "They're pausing their attack," Lisa reported. "I think we surprised them." Skywatcher had entered the bridge, its body glowing bright blue with excitement. "Impossible," the translator device said. "The collective's shields have never failed so quickly." "How?" "Different technologies," Mike explained. "They expected energy weapons, but our railguns are physical projectiles moving at extreme speeds. Their shields weren't designed to stop that." 3 more collective ships fired in unison. This time the Resilience rocked violently. "Shields at 63%, Anna reported. "We can't take too many of those combined hits." Jack leaned forward in his chair. "Change tactics. Target their engines. If we can't destroy them, we'll at least make sure they can't follow us." The battle continued for 20 minutes. The Resilience circled the Trill ship protectively, taking hits but giving back twice as hard. 2 collective ships were now drifting, their engines destroyed by precise human weapons fire. "Captain?" Mike called from engineering. "Shield generators are overheating. We need to back off." Before Jack could respond, the collective ship suddenly pulled away, regrouping at a distance. "They're withdrawing?" Anna asked, confusion clear in her voice. "Not retreating," Skywatcher said, its body now a worried purple color. "Planning. They've never faced resistance like this. They're reassessing." Jack turned to his crew. "This is our chance. Mike, how are the Trill repairs coming?" "Almost complete," Mike replied. "Another hour, maybe less." "We may not have an hour," Jack said grimly. "Lisa, open a channel to the lead collective ship." The exterminator appeared on screen again, its black eyes showing no emotion. "Your weapons are effective, Deathworlder," it said. "Few species surprise the collective." "We don't want to fight," Jack said. "Let us and the Trill leave this system, peacefully." "Impossible. The judgment has been made. However," the alien paused. "Your resistance warrants study. We will allow you 1 hour to prepare for your deaths. Use it wisely." The screen went dark again. "They're stalling," Anna said. "Calling for reinforcements," Jack nodded. "Then we need to be gone before they arrive. Skywatcher, we need to finish your ship's repairs now." The next 40 minutes were a blur of activity. Human engineers worked alongside Trill technicians, racing to fix the damaged crystal drive. Meanwhile, the Resilience transferred some of its weapons technology to the Trill ship, giving them a fighting chance if the collective pursued. Tom monitored the space around them. "Captain, I'm detecting new FTL signatures at the edge of the system. More collective ships, at least 15. Jack looked at Skywatcher. "Is your ship ready?" "Yes, we can fly. But there are too many collective ships to fight." Jack's mind raced. They were outnumbered, and soon would be outgunned. Standard tactics wouldn't work. They needed something the collective wouldn't expect. "I have a plan," he said finally. "But it's risky." He called his senior officers together, speaking quickly. As he outlined his idea, their eyes widened. "That's insane," Anna whispered. "It might work, but we'll lose the Resilience," Mike finished. "Better than losing our lives and condemning Earth to the collective's attention," Jack replied. "Get it done." As the officers hurried to their tasks, Skywatcher approached Jack. "What are you planning, Captain?" Jack's face was grim, but determined. "Something the collective won't expect. Deathworlders don't give up easily." Outside, the 15 new collective ships arrived, joining the original 7. 22 black vessels now surrounded the human and Trill ships like wolves circling prey. "They're moving into attack formation," Tom reported. Jack took a deep breath. "Begin evacuation procedures. Transfer all non-essential personnel to the Trill vessel." "And you, Captain?" Lisa asked, already knowing the answer. "Someone needs to make sure our distraction works." He looked around at his bridge crew. "I need 5 volunteers to stay behind. The rest of you will go with the Trill." Every hand on the bridge raised without hesitation. Jack felt a swell of pride. "Thank you. But most of you need to survive, to warn Earth." He quickly selected his skeleton crew, Tom for navigation, Anna for weapons, and 3 engineers. As the rest of the crew reluctantly prepared to transfer to the Trill ship, Jack opened the ship-wide communication system. "This is," the captain speaking. "Today we answered a call for help, and discovered we're not alone in the universe. We also learned that not all who sail the stars are friendly. The Resilience was built to explore, but today she'll do something equally important. She'll stand against those who would judge who deserves to travel among the stars." He paused, looking out at the gathering enemy fleet. "Most of you will continue our mission aboard the Trill vessel. A few of us will stay behind to ensure your escape. Remember what we learned today. Humans may be newcomers to space, but we are Deathworlders, and Deathworlders never go down without a fight." The Void collective ships began to close in, weapons charging. They expected an easy victory against the outnumbered aliens. They were about to learn a painful lesson about underestimating humans. The bridge of the Resilience was quieter now. Most of the crew had transferred to the Trill ship, leaving only Jack and his 5 volunteers. Through the view screen, they watched as 22 black Void collective ships moved closer, their formations precise and threatening. Transfer of personnel complete, Tom reported from his station. The Trill ship reports they're ready to jump to FTL as soon as we create the opening. Jack nodded, his face calm despite the tension in the air. Anna, status of the modifications? Anna looked up from the weapons console. FTL drive has been reconfigured according to Mike's specifications. We can trigger the controlled overload at your command. What's the chance this actually works? Jack asked Mike, who had stayed behind to oversee the engineering aspects of their desperate plan. Mike wiped sweat from his forehead. About 50-50, Captain. We've never tried to use an FTL drive as a weapon before. The theory is sound, but we're making this up as we go, Jack finished. Good enough for me. Lisa's voice came through the communication system. She had gone to the Trill ship to help coordinate. Captain, we're in position. Skywatcher says their engines are ready for immediate jump once you create the path. Tell him to be ready. This is going to happen fast. Jack turned to his small, remaining crew. Final check. Escape pods? Prepped and programmed. Tom confirmed. Set to launch automatically 30 seconds before detonation. They'll head directly for the Trill ship. Jack took a deep breath. Begin the countdown, 3 minutes. As the countdown started, the Void Collective ships finished getting into position. The largest ship, presumably the Exterminator's command, vessel, moved to the front. They're hailing us again, Anna said. Put them through, Jack ordered. The Exterminator appeared on screen, still showing no emotion. Your hour has ended, Deathworlders. We have studied your vessel. Your shields are weakened. Your weapons, while effective, cannot defeat 22 of our ships. Surrender now, and we will make your extinction painless. Jack smiled. You know, for advanced aliens, you miss something important about humans. The Exterminator tilted its head. And what is that? We're really, really stubborn. End transmission. Jack turned to Tom. Begin approach. The Resilience suddenly surged forward, heading directly toward the center of the collective formation. The unexpected move seemed to surprise the alien ships, which took several seconds to react. They're firing, Anna called out. The ship shuddered as multiple energy beams struck its shields. Shields at 42%, 36%. Anna counted down as hits, registered. They won't last much longer, Captain. They don't need to, Jack replied. Stay on course, Tom, right into the middle of their formation. The Resilience continued its charge, taking hit after hit but not firing back. The collective ships, perhaps confused by this strategy, began to adjust their positions. 2 minutes to detonation, the computer announced calmly. On the tactical display, Jack watched as the collective ships moved to surround the Resilience exactly as he had hoped. Their tight formation would maximize the effect of what was coming. Captain, Tom said, his voice tight with tension. The Trill ship is in position, waiting for our signal. Excellent. Maintain course. Let's get as deep into their formation as possible. The collective ships continued to fire, their energy weapons gradually wearing down the Resilience's shields. Shields failing, Anna reported. Hull damage on decks, 3 through 5. 1 minute to detonation, the computer announced. Jack opened a channel to the Trill ship. Prepare to move on my mark. Don't wait, don't look back, just go. We understand, Captain, came Skywatcher's voice, translated into English. Your sacrifice will not be forgotten. Another hit rocked the ship violently, warning alarms blared. Throughout the bridge. Direct hit to engineering, Mike called out. Secondary explosions reported. The FTL drive is taking damage. Jack's heart sank. Will it still work? Mike checked his readings frantically. Yes, but we've lost fine control. Once we start the overload, we won't be able to stop it or adjust. The timing. 30 seconds to detonation, the computer announced. Escape pod launch sequence initiating. Jack turned to his small crew. Time to go, get to your assigned escape pods. Anna looked up from her station. Captain. That's an order, Chief Reed, Jack said firmly. Earth needs to know what's out. Here, they need to prepare. The bridge crew reluctantly left their stations, heading for the escape pods. Only Jack remained. 15 seconds to detonation. Escape pods launched. Through the view screen, Jack watched as the small pods ejected from the Resilience, speeding toward the Trill ship, which was positioned just outside the collective formation. 10 seconds to detonation. Jack sent one final message to the Trill ship. "Now, Skywatcher, go." The Trill ship's engines flared brilliantly as it jumped to FTL speed, disappearing from normal space in a flash of light. The collective ships nearest to it immediately gave chase, but most remained focused on the Resilience. 5 seconds to detonation. Jack strapped himself into his command chair. He wasn't going to make it to an escape pod now. Someone needed to ensure the detonation happened exactly where it would do the most damage. Computer, manual control override. Override accepted. 3 seconds to detonation. Jack gripped the manual controls, adjusting the Resilience's position to place it directly in the center of the remaining collective ships. 2 seconds. The exterminator's face appeared on screen one last time. "What are you doing, human?" "Teaching you a lesson," Jack replied. "Never underestimate Deathworlders." 1 second to detonation. Jack closed his eyes. For Earth. The Resilience's FTL drive had been modified to create a controlled overload. When it detonated, it didn't explode in the conventional sense. Instead, it created a massive distortion in space-time, a miniature, temporary rupture that sent waves of distorted space outward in all directions. The collective ships, designed to travel through normal space, had no defense against this. Their hulls twisted and bent as space itself warped around them. Systems failed, engines shut down, and weapons went offline. Those closest to the Resilience were torn apart completely. Others were left drifting, severely damaged. At the center of the chaos, the Resilience was gone, torn apart by the very distortion it had created. Miles away, the Trill ship continued its FTL journey, carrying most of the human crew and the small escape pods that had launched just in time. On its bridge, Skywatcher watched the sensor readings of what had happened behind them. "The human vessel has been destroyed," a Trill officer reported. "But they took 7 collective ships with them. The others appear disabled." Skywatcher's body turned a solemn blue. "They sacrificed themselves for people they just met. I have traveled the stars for 100 years and never seen such courage." In the medical bay of the Trill ship, the human escape pods were being recovered. Anna, Tom, Mike, and the other volunteers had made it safely. As they emerged, they immediately asked about their captain. "Did Jack make it?" Anna demanded. The Trill medical officer's body darkened to a sad purple. "The human captain remained on your vessel. His last transmission confirmed the successful detonation." The humans fell silent, grief etched on their faces. But there was also pride. "He saved us all," Tom said quietly. "Both humans and Trill." Anna straightened her shoulders. "And he gave us a mission. We need to reach Earth. They have to know what's out here, both friends and enemies." Skywatcher approached the humans. "We will take you home. It is the least we can do for those who saved us. And perhaps..." The Trill's body brightened. "Perhaps there is more we can do together. Your technology combined with ours, your strength with our knowledge." Mike nodded slowly. Jack would have wanted that. An alliance. The Trill ship continued its journey through FTL space, carrying the survivors toward Earth. Behind them, the damaged collective ships began to recover, their black hulls repairing themselves slowly. The exterminator, who had survived on one of the outer ships, watched the sensor readings of the direction the Trill ship had gone. For the first time in its long existence, the exterminator felt something new. Concern. These humans, these Deathworlders, had done what no species had done before. They had devastated a collective fleet. They had used technology in ways the collective had never anticipated. The exterminator sent a message to the collective homeworld. New species encountered. Designation, humans. Origin, Earth. Threat level, maximum. Recommendation, immediate elimination before they spread. The Void Collective had ruled the stars for 1,000,000 years. They had judged countless species and found them wanting. But they had never met Deathworlders like humans before. The war had just begun. 6 months had passed since the battle at Epsilon Eridani. The Trill ship carrying the survivors of the Resilience had reached Earth 3 weeks after their escape. Their arrival had changed humanity forever. Anna Reed stood on the observation deck of the new Earth Alliance flagship, the Resilience 2. The massive vessel was twice the size of the original Resilience and incorporated both human and Trill technology. Through the viewscreen she could see 50 other ships, the first true human fleet built with remarkable speed after learning about the threat among the stars. Admiral Reed. Anna turned to see Tom approaching. Like her, he had been promoted after their return. Captain White, she greeted him with a smile. Ready for our mission? Tom nodded, looking out at the fleet. Hard to believe how much has changed in just 6 months. It was true. When the Trill ship had arrived at Earth, governments worldwide had united in the face of an existential threat. The Trill, grateful for their rescue, had shared advanced technology. In return, humans offered something equally valuable, their unique perspective and combat capabilities. The Trill ambassadors are ready for the ceremony, Tom said. Anna straightened her new admiral's uniform. Then let's not keep them waiting. They walked together to the main conference room where Skywatcher and 5 other Trill representatives waited. Also present were leaders from 3 other alien species, the blue-skinned Varens, the crystalline Lux, and the gaseous cloud beings called the Mist. All had suffered under the Void Collective's judgment. Admiral Reed, Skywatcher greeted her, its body shimmering with excited blue colors. Today marks a historic moment. Indeed it does, Anna replied. The formation of the Deathworld Defense Initiative, the DDI, as it was already being called, was a mutual protection pact open to any species threatened by the Collective. Word had spread quickly about the Deathworlders who had stood against the Collective and survived. Many species, long intimidated into isolation, had reached out. The signing ceremony was brief but powerful. Representatives of 5 species, once strangers to each other, now allies in the face of a common enemy. When it was done, Anna raised a glass in a toast. To Captain Jack Miller, she said solemnly, who showed us all that differences matter less than what unites us. Everyone drank to Jack's memory. Later, Anna met with her command staff on the bridge. The Resilience 2 was about to lead the fleet to the Trill homeworld for the first official diplomatic mission of the new alliance. Status report, she ordered. Mike, now chief engineer of the fleet, responded first. The new hybrid drives are working perfectly. The Trill crystal technology combined with our FTL systems has increased efficiency by 300%. Lisa, who had become the lead xenolinguist, added, communication systems are fully integrated across all ships. The Universal Translator now supports all 5 Alliance languages. Weapons? Anna asked. Railguns have been upgraded with Trill targeting systems, Tom reported, and we've adapted the FTL distortion effect into focused weapons. We're calling them Space Ripper torpedoes. They're smaller than what took out the Collective fleet, but still devastating. Anna nodded, satisfied. Humanity had learned and adapted quickly as they always did, but she knew the Void Collective was not sitting idle. What's the latest intelligence from the Varen scouts? She asked. Tom's expression grew serious. Not good. The Collective has been gathering ships, hundreds of them. Our analysts believe they're planning something big. An attack on one of our worlds? Worse, Tom replied. They're planning to hit Earth directly. The exterminator that escaped apparently convinced their leadership that humans represent an existential threat to their dominance. A tense silence fell over the bridge. They had suspected this might come, but hearing it confirmed was still chilling. Anna straightened her back. How long do we have? Based on their movements, 3 weeks at most. Anna thought for a moment, then made her decision. Change of plans. The diplomatic mission to the Trill homeworld will continue under Captain Lee's command. We're taking the Resilience 2 and half the fleet back to Earth immediately. Back to Earth? Lisa asked. But the fleet was supposed to stay together. The Collective is coming for our homeworld, Anna replied firmly. We need to be ready. Contact all Alliance members. We need every ship they can spare. For the next 2 weeks, Earth became the center of frantic preparation. The fleet positioned defensive platforms and minefields throughout the solar system. Alliance ships arrived daily, sleek trill vessels, heavily armored Varan warships, and the nearly invisible mist cruisers. Together they formed the largest combined fleet ever assembled. Anna worked tirelessly, coordinating defenses and training. Crews. Earth's population watched the skies with a mixture of fear and determination. Schools taught children what to do in case of orbital bombardment. Factories worked around the clock producing weapons and ships. And then, the day came. Multiple FTL signatures detected at the edge of the system, the sensor officer reported. Over 200 ships, void collective configuration. Anna took her position on the bridge of the Resilience 2, which floated in high Earth orbit. Around her, a combined fleet of 150 Alliance vessels moved into defensive formations. "Open a channel to all ships," she ordered. When the connection was ready, Anna spoke clearly and confidently. "This is Admiral Anna Reed of the Deathworld Defense Initiative. The Void Collective comes to our doorstep thinking they'll find an easy target. They believe they can judge who deserves to travel the stars." She paused, looking at the approaching enemy fleet on the view screen. "Today, we judge them instead. Today, we show them that unity is stronger than fear. The species they tried to eliminate now stand together. Hold your positions, follow your training. Remember Captain Miller's sacrifice." Anna closed the channel and turned to her bridge crew. Battle stations. The Void Collective fleet emerged from FTL travel in perfect formation. A wall of black, ships advancing toward Earth. At their center was a vessel 3 times larger than any they had seen before. The Collective flagship. "They're hailing us," Lisa reported. "Put them through," Anna ordered. The exterminator appeared on screen, looking, exactly as Anna remembered. "Deathworlders," it said in that grinding voice. "You have infected other species with your resistance. This cannot be allowed. Surrender your planet for cleansing." Anna stood tall. "I think you'll find that's not going to happen." The exterminators' black eyes narrowed. "You believe your small fleet can stop us. We have judged 1,000 species. All have fallen." "You've never faced Deathworlders before," Anna replied. "And now you face not just humans but a united alliance. Then you will die together." The transmission ended, and the collective fleet began to advance. "All ships, execute battle plan." "Miller," Anna ordered. The Alliance fleet suddenly split into 5 distinct groups, each moving in patterns that seemed chaotic but were carefully planned. The collective ships, expecting a standard defensive wall, faltered momentarily at the unexpected tactics. When the first shots were fired, the battle for Earth had begun. What followed would become legendary throughout the galaxy. The Void Collective, for the first time in their history, faced a coordinated defense by multiple species, led by humans who turned their Deathworld adaptations into strategic advantages. Human ships performed maneuvers that would have killed other species. Trill vessels used their crystal technology to absorb and redirect enemy fire. Varan ships rammed directly into collective vessels, their reinforced hulls designed for such tactics, and the nearly invisible mist ships slipped behind enemy lines, disrupting communications. At the center of it all was the Resilience 2, leading the main attack group directly toward the collective flagship. Anna stood calmly on the bridge as explosions lit up space around them. "Space Ripper torpedoes ready," Tom reported. Anna nodded. "Target their flagship. Fire when ready." The new weapons launched, creating focused distortions in space that tore through the collective's defenses. The massive flagship shuddered as the fabric of space-time warped around it. The battle raged for hours. Ships were lost on both sides, but slowly, inevitably, the Alliance gained the upper hand. The collective, facing tactics they had never encountered and weapons they had no defense against, began to retreat. When the last collective ship fled the system, a cheer erupted throughout the Alliance fleet. Earth had stood against the judgment of the Void Collective, and won. In the aftermath, as damaged ships were repaired and the dead honored, Anna stood again on the observation deck of the Resilience 2. Earth shone blue and green below, unmarred by the battle that had raged in orbit. Tom joined her, looking out at the Allied ships that now protected their homeworld. Jack would be proud, he said quietly. Anna nodded. This is just the beginning. The collective will be back. But next time, we'll be even more ready. From answering a distress call to defending our planet, Tom mused. All in 6 months. That's what Deathworlders do, Anna replied with a smile. We adapt, we survive, and we protect our own, which now includes all our allies. As the Resilience 2 continued its orbit, the dawn broke over Earth, light spreading across the planet. In the decades that followed, the term Deathworlder transformed from the collective's insult into a badge of honor. Humans became known throughout the galaxy, not just for their physical capabilities, but for their compassion, resourcefulness, and willingness to stand up for others. It had all started with a simple distress call, with one ship answering another's plea for help, and it had changed the galaxy forever. The huge doors of the Galactic Council chamber opened with a soft hiss. Commander Jack Reed took a deep breath and stepped forward, his footsteps echoing in the vast room. This was humanity's first time at the Council, and as Earth's chosen representative, Reed felt the weight of 5 billion humans on his shoulders. The Council chamber was built in a perfect circle. 12 tall seats rose high above the speaking floor, each filled by a different alien species. Some looked almost human-like, while others were so strange that Reed's mind struggled to make sense of their forms. One seemed to be made of shifting crystal, while another appeared to be a cloud of gas held in a containment suit. The human representative may approach, announced a deep voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Reed walked to the center of the room, his simple blue uniform looking plain next to the elaborate outfits of the council members. He stood tall, shoulders back, chin up, just as he had been trained at the Space Force Academy. Greetings, council members. I am Commander Jack Reed of Earth. On behalf of humanity, I thank you for inviting us to join the Galactic Council after our recent development of faster-than-light travel. The crystal being shifted, creating a sound like wind chimes. How quaint. The humans think they have been invited as equals. Several council members made sounds that Reed's translator identified as laughter. A tall, thin alien with 4 arms leaned forward. Human, you must understand. Your species is being granted observer status only. Your technology is barely past its infancy, and your military capabilities are amusing at best. Reed kept his face neutral, though he felt a flash of anger. Earth's united military forces were the result of centuries of warfare and innovation. To have them dismissed so easily stung his pride. Council Member Drav, Reed addressed the 4-armed alien, recalling the brief he had studied. Humanity may be new to the galactic stage, but we bring unique perspectives and abilities. We ask only for fair consideration. Another council member, a being with blue-green skin and large eyes, spoke up. The human speaks well, but facts remain facts. Their ships are slow, their weapons inefficient, and they have no psychic abilities whatsoever. They would be a liability in any serious conflict. More laughter rippled through the chamber. Reed stood silently, enduring the mockery with as much dignity as he could muster. The head counselor, a tall humanoid with golden skin called Trell, raised a hand for silence. Commander Reed, the Council welcomes Earth as a Tier 3 member world. You will have access to trade routes, cultural exchanges, and basic technology sharing. In return, you will provide raw materials and agree to Council oversight of your development. This is our offer. Reed knew this was coming. The briefing materials had prepared him for this classification, the lowest possible membership tier. Still, hearing it stated so bluntly was difficult. On behalf of Earth, I accept these terms, Reed said formally. What choice did they have? Humanity needed this alliance, even on unfavorable terms. As the administrative details were finalized, an emergency signal flashed across the chamber's communication system. The council members immediately turned their attention to a holographic display that appeared in the center of the room, forcing Reed to step back. The hologram showed a planet with several settlements. One was currently under attack, buildings burning and people fleeing. Another Void Reaper raid, said Council Member Drav with a dismissive wave. Third one this cycle, Reed studied the images carefully. The attackers were dark, almost shadow-like beings moving with frightening speed. Their ships were oddly shaped, seeming to absorb light rather than reflect it. "These Void Reapers," Reed asked. "Who are they?" The head counselor glanced at Reed, as if suddenly remembering he was there. "A nuisance species from the outer reaches. They raid occasionally but pose no serious threat to the Council." But Reed wasn't so sure. His military training had taught him to recognize patterns, and something about this attack seemed different from a simple raid. The attackers were moving systematically, almost as if searching for something specific. "With respect, Counselor Trell, their attack pattern suggests this is more than a random raid. They appear to be searching the settlement and taking specific items or information." The crystal being made another chiming sound of laughter. "And now the human thinks to teach us military strategy. Perhaps next, it will offer to tie our gravity boots." The council erupted in laughter again. Reed's face flushed red, but he stood his ground. "I merely observe what I see," he said quietly. "Your observation is noted, Commander," said Trell dismissively. "Now, as the newest and least experienced member of the Council, perhaps you should remain silent while we handle matters beyond your understanding." Reed nodded stiffly and stepped back. The Council continued discussing the attack, but they treated it as routine, just another border skirmish to be logged and forgotten. After the meeting, Reed found himself in the vast hallway outside the Council chamber. He replayed the attack footage in his mind. Something wasn't right, but nobody seemed willing to listen. They never do, you know. Reed turned to find a tall, slender alien watching him. Unlike the council members, this one wore a simple white coat with various tools and devices hanging from numerous pockets. "I'm Dr. Miller," she said, extending a hand in what was clearly an attempt at a human greeting. "Lena Miller. I'm one of the few humans already working with the council. Xenobiology department." Reed shook her hand, surprised to find another human. "Commander Jack Reed. How long have you been here?" 3 years, Miller answered. "I was part of the first scientific exchange. And before you ask, yes, they always treat newcomers that way, especially species they see as primitive." Reed frowned. "Those attacks we saw, the Void Reapers, what do you know about them?" Miller glanced around before answering quietly. "Not much officially, but unofficially. Their attacks have been increasing. That's the 4th this month, not the 3rd this cycle as they claimed. And they're getting bolder." "I noticed their attack pattern seemed purposeful," Reed said. "They weren't just destroying things randomly." Miller nodded. "I've noticed that too. But the council doesn't want to hear it. They've been at peace, so long they've forgotten what a real threat looks like." Reed considered this information carefully. "Do you have access to records of previous attacks?" "I can get them," Miller said. "But why? The council has already dismissed your concerns." Reed's expression grew determined. "Because if I'm right, and these aren't just random raids, Earth could be in danger too. And unlike the council, we haven't forgotten what war looks like." Miller studied him for a moment, then nodded. "Meet me in the archives tomorrow. Level 42, Section B. We'll see what we can find." As Reed walked away toward his assigned quarters, he couldn't shake the feeling that humanity's entry into galactic society had come at a dangerous time. The council might laugh at humans now, seeing them as weak and primitive, but Reed had a gut feeling they might need Earth's primitive military experience sooner than they thought. The shadows of the Void Reapers were growing longer, and only Reed and Miller seemed to notice the darkness spreading across the stars. 6 months had passed since Earth joined the Galactic Council. Commander Jack Reed sat in his small office at the Human Embassy, reviewing reports with a deep frown on his face. The screen in front of him showed a map of the galaxy, with red dots marking Void Reaper attacks. There were now 27 dots. 6 months ago there had been only 5. The door slid open, and Dr. Lena Miller walked in, carrying a datapad. Her usual neat appearance was gone. Her hair was messy, and dark circles lined her eyes. You look like you haven't slept, Reed said, pointing to a chair. Miller sat down heavily. I haven't. Not properly. I've been analyzing the data from the latest attacks. Jack, this isn't random raiding anymore. This is a pattern of systematic testing. Testing what? Reed asked, though he feared he already knew the answer. Defenses, reaction times, weaknesses. Miller handed him the data pad. They hit the colony on Proxus 3 yesterday, 30 minutes before the Council fleet arrived. Then they left, taking very little. They're timing the Council's responses. Reed studied the data, his military mind seeing what the Council refused to acknowledge. They're preparing for something bigger. The Council still won't listen, Miller said, frustration clear in her voice. I presented my findings this morning. They said humans are naturally paranoid due to their violent history, and dismissed everything. Reed stood up and walked to the window. From here he could see the gleaming towers of the Council capital city, all those people, all those different species living in peace, unaware of the danger gathering at the edges of their civilization. We need more proof, he said finally, and we need allies who will listen. I might know someone, Miller said. A trader named Tom Barnes, human. He runs supplies to the outer colonies. He's seen the Reapers up close more than anyone. Can you arrange a meeting? Miller nodded. He's actually docking today, bringing in a shipment of rare minerals from the rim worlds. The spaceport was busy with beings from across the galaxy. Reed and Miller made their way through the crowd to Docking Bay 94, where a weathered cargo ship had just landed. A man walked down the ramp, wiping grease from his hands with a rag. He was tall and broad-shouldered, with a thick beard and scars on his arms. His eyes darted around constantly, the mark of someone who had seen danger and lived to tell about it. Tom, Miller called, waving. Barnes looked up, smiled briefly at Miller, then eyed Reed suspiciously. Didn't know you were bringing military, he said when they reached him. This is Commander Reed, Earth's representative to the Council, Miller explained. He shares our concerns about the Void Reapers. Barnes gave Reed a measuring look. Let's talk somewhere else. Too many ears here. An hour later, they sat in a small cafe on the edge of the spaceport district. The place was dark and quiet, with mostly humans as customers. I've seen them hit 6 colonies in the past 3 months, Barnes said, keeping his voice low. It's always the same. They come in fast, jam communications, then target specific. Buildings, research centers, data archives, defense installations. They take what they want and leave before help arrives. Do you have any recordings? Reed asked. Barnes touched a small device on his wrist, and a hologram appeared above their table. It showed shadowy ships descending on a small colony. The footage was shaky but clear enough to see the precision of the attack. This was Outpost 47, Barnes said. Small mining colony. The Reapers took all their navigation charts and stellar maps, left the valuable minerals untouched. They're gathering intelligence, Reed said, watching the footage carefully. Building a complete picture of Council space. That's what I think too, Barnes agreed. But there's something else. He changed the hologram to show a close-up of one of the Void Reapers. The creature was tall and thin, with multiple limbs and a face hidden beneath a dark helmet. I got this image 3 weeks ago. It's the clearest look anyone's gotten at them. Miller leaned forward, studying the image. The Council claims to have known about the Reapers for decades, but I can't find any detailed information about them in the archives. It's as if someone has deliberately kept information about them limited. Or erased it, Barnes added grimly. Reed frowned. Why would the Council hide information about a potential threat? Before anyone could answer, their conversation was interrupted by an urgent beeping from Reed's communication device. He checked it, his face growing pale. What is it? Miller asked. Emergency Council session, Reed said, standing quickly. A major colony world has gone silent. Traxxas Prime. Barnes's eyes widened. Traxxas Prime has over 3 million people and a defense fleet. If the Reapers hit there... We need to go, Reed said. Both of you. The Council needs to hear what you know. The council chamber was in chaos when they arrived. Representatives shouted over each other while emergency alerts flashed across the large screens. Reed stepped forward to his designated spot, with Miller and Barnes staying in the observer section. "Order!" Head Counselor Trell shouted above the noise. "We must have order to address this situation." Gradually, the chamber quieted. Trell looked tired, the first time Reed had seen any crack in the counselor's usual perfect composure. "Traxxas Prime has ceased all communications," Trell announced. "The emergency beacon was activated briefly, then cut off. We have deployed a response fleet, but they will not arrive for 6 hours." 6 hours? Reed couldn't help but interrupt. By then, it could be too late. This has all the signs of a major Void Reaper attack. The crystal being made an angry chiming sound. Again, the human brings up these fairy tales of Void Reaper invasions. This is likely a communications malfunction. Reed took a deep breath. "Council members, I have brought evidence that the Void Reapers have been systematically testing our defenses and gathering intelligence. Their attacks have increased from 5 to 27 in just 6 months. This is not random raiding. This is preparation for war." "Absurd," said the four-armed Counselor Drav. "The Reapers are a minor nuisance, nothing more." Reed gestured for Barnes to come forward. After a moment's hesitation, Trell nodded, allowing it. Barnes activated his wrist device, projecting the attack footage for all to see. "I've witnessed 6 attacks personally," he said. "Each one more organized than the last. They're learning your response patterns, your weaknesses." The council members watched in silence. Some looked concerned, but many still showed disbelief. "Even if this is true," said the blue-skinned counselor slowly, "our peacekeeping fleet is more than capable of handling such threats. We have maintained peace for 3 centuries. Peace has made you forget what war looks like," Reed said quietly. "Humans remember. We've fought wars throughout our history. We know the signs. And everything about these attacks points to an imminent large-scale invasion." The chamber fell silent. For the first time, some of the council members were looking at Reed not with dismissal or amusement, but with uncertainty. Then the emergency alert system blared again. All eyes turned to the main screen as a new message appeared. "Traxxas Prime Defense Fleet destroyed. Colony under full attack. Estimated enemy ships 500 plus. Request immediate reinforcements." The council chamber erupted in panic. Reed stood still in the middle of it all, his worst fears confirmed. The storm was no longer gathering. It had arrived. The attack on Traxxas Prime was only the beginning. Within 3 days, the Void Reapers launched attacks on 7 more council worlds. The peacekeeping fleet, which had never faced a true war in over 3 centuries, was caught completely unprepared. Commander Jack Reed stood in the council's emergency command center, watching the disaster unfold on the large display screens. Reports of destruction poured in from across the galaxy. The council members argued among themselves, their earlier mockery of humans replaced by fear and confusion. "We need to coordinate our response," Reed said, raising his voice above the chaos. "Each world is trying to defend itself alone. That's exactly what the Reapers want, to divide us." "And what would you suggest, human?" asked Counselor Drav, his forearms gesturing wildly. "Your species has barely left its own star system. What could you possibly know about galactic-scale warfare?" Before Reed could answer, Dr. Miller burst into the room, followed by Tom Barnes. Both looked like they hadn't slept in days. "The colony on Proxima 6 is next," Miller announced, holding up a datapad. "I've analyzed the pattern of attacks. They're moving systematically through this sector, and Proxima 6 is clearly their next target." "Proxima 6? Reed asked, suddenly alert. "That's only 2 light-years from Earth's furthest colony." "Exactly," Miller said. "And it has minimal defenses. Over 50,000 people live there, mostly miners and researchers." Head Counselor Trell shook his golden head. "We have no ships to send. Everything we have is already engaged or destroyed." Reed made a quick decision. "Earth has a battle group stationed near that system. I can redirect them to evacuate the colony." "Your primitive ships?" Counselor Drav scoffed. "They would be destroyed instantly." Reed turned to face the council. With all due respect, while you've been arguing, people are dying. Human ships may be primitive by your standards, but they're crewed by soldiers who know how to fight. Right now, fighting is what we need. After a moment of tense silence, Trell nodded. Do what you can, Commander, but do not engage the enemy directly. Your mission is evacuation only. Reed nodded sharply and left the room, already activating his communication device to contact Earth's fleet. Captain Laura West of the Earth Defense. Force Vessel Defiant received her orders with a grim expression. As the flagship of Earth's Third Fleet, the Defiant was not the most advanced ship in the galaxy, but it was sturdy and well-armed. Change course for Proxima 6, she ordered her crew. Maximum speed, and send word to the rest of the fleet. We're conducting an emergency evacuation. Her first officer, Lieutenant Mark Turner, looked concerned. The new orders say this is a Void Reaper attack zone. Those are the same beings that destroyed an entire Council defense fleet. I'm aware, Lieutenant, West replied calmly. But those people need help, and we're the only ones who can get there in time. The Defiant and its 5 companion ships adjusted course, their engines glowing bright as they pushed to maximum speed. On Proxima 6, panic was spreading. News of the Void Reaper attacks had reached them, and with no word from the Council about protection, many colonists were trying to flee on their own ships. The colony's administrator, a middle-aged man named Robert Green, tried to maintain order. Please remain calm, he shouted over the noise of the crowded main square. We need to organize an orderly evacuation. But fear had taken hold. People pushed and shoved, trying to gather their belongings and secure spots on the limited number of transports. Then a new sound cut through the chaos, the deep rumble of ship engines. People looked up to see 6 ships with Earth markings descending through the atmosphere. The Defiant landed in the colony's main field, its hull gleaming in the sun. The ramp lowered, and soldiers in Earth Defense Force uniforms marched out, led by Captain West. Green rushed to meet her. Thank the stars you're here, the Council sent nothing. The Council is overwhelmed, West explained quickly. Commander Reed sent us. We have room for everyone, but we need to move fast. Intelligence suggests the Reapers will be here within 5 hours. 5 hours? Green's face paled. We'll need at least 8 to evacuate everyone. West's expression remained determined. Then we'll have to buy more time. Start loading the most vulnerable first. Children, elderly, the sick. My soldiers will help with the evacuation while we set up defensive positions. As the evacuation began, West's communications officer approached her. Captain, we're detecting multiple ships entering the system. They don't match any known Council signatures. West nodded grimly. They're early. Lieutenant Turner, deploy our fighters and prepare defensive measures. We're going to have to fight while we evacuate. In the Council Command Center, Reed watched the situation unfold via the emergency communications link with the Defiant. The Void Reapers had arrived at Proxima 6 3 hours ahead of predictions, but Captain West had already begun evacuation procedures. They won't be able to evacuate everyone before the Reapers arrive, Miller said, concern evident in her voice. They'll have to fight, Reed replied, and they will. The Council members watched in silence as the feed showed Earth's ships forming a defensive perimeter around the colony. The Void Reaper vessels, black and menacing, approached rapidly. Your ships are outnumbered 3-1, Counselor Drav observed. They cannot win. They don't need to win, Reed said. They just need to hold long enough for the evacuation. The battle began. The Reaper ships attacked with overwhelming force, but the Earth vessels responded with unexpected tactics. Instead of meeting the Reapers head-on, they used the moon's gravity to swing around and attack from multiple angles. Earth fighters, smaller and more maneuverable than anything the Council used, darted between the larger Reaper ships, causing confusion and disrupting their formation. "What are they doing?" asked one of the Council members. "That's not standard fleet protocol." "It's called adaptive combat," Reed explained. "Humans don't fight according to fixed patterns. We adapt, we improvise, we overcome." On the screen, the Defiant took a direct hit but continued fighting, its weapons blazing. Captain West's voice came through the communication system, steady despite the chaos around her. Evacuation 60% complete. We're holding them back, but taking heavy damage. Another Earth ship exploded under the Reaper's assault, but the remaining vessels closed ranks, protecting the evacuation transports as they lifted off from the surface. The council members watched in stunned silence. These humans, whom they had dismissed as primitive, were fighting with a ferocity and skill they had never witnessed before. Evacuation complete, West's voice finally announced. All civilians secured, defense fleet beginning withdrawal. The remaining Earth ships turned and accelerated away from the planet, taking multiple hits but continuing their retreat. The Void Reapers pursued but soon broke off, turning their attention to the now empty colony. In the command center, the silence was broken by the blue-skinned counselor. They saved everyone, he said in quiet disbelief. And they sacrificed their own ships to do it. Reed looked at the council members, seeing new respect in their eyes. This is what humans do, he said simply. We protect our own, and right now every being in this galaxy is our own. Head Counselor Trell stepped forward. Commander Reed, perhaps it is time we listen to your defensive strategy after all. The galactic war had begun, and for the first time, the Council wasn't laughing at humans anymore. They were turning to them for help. 2 weeks after the evacuation of Proxima 66, the Galactic Council's main chamber had been transformed. Gone were the ornate decorations and comfortable seats. In their place stood a military command center, with screens showing battle maps and fleet movements across the galaxy. At the center of it all stood Commander Jack Reed, now officially appointed as Strategic Defense Coordinator for the Council. The once mocking council members now listened carefully as he outlined the latest defensive plans. The Void Reapers have taken 12 major systems, Reed said, pointing to red areas on the galactic map, but their advance has slowed because they're spreading themselves thin. This gives us an opportunity to regroup. Where do you suggest we base our counteroffensive? Asked Head Counselor Trell, who had dropped much of his formal manner in the face of crisis. Reed touched the map, which zoomed in on a blue dot. Earth. Several council members shifted uncomfortably. Counselor Drav spoke up. Earth? But it's so undeveloped and far from the Council core worlds. Exactly, Reed replied. The Reapers are focusing their attacks on developed Council worlds. Earth is still seen as a minor player, which makes it perfect for our command base. Plus, Earth's military infrastructure is already prepared for war scenarios. After some discussion, the Council agreed. Within days, the central command for the war effort was relocated to Earth, in a facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains that had once served as a defense headquarters during Earth's own conflicts. Dr. Lena Miller sat surrounded by holographic data displays in her new laboratory at Earth Command. For days, she had been analyzing every piece of information about the Void Reaper attacks, looking for patterns that might reveal their overall strategy. You need to sleep sometime, said a voice from the doorway. Tom Barnes walked in, carrying 2 cups of coffee. He handed one to Miller. Thanks, she said, taking a sip. But I'm close to something, look at this. She pulled up a map showing all Reaper attacks. They're hitting specific types of planets in a specific order. It's not random destruction. They're looking for something. What could they possibly want? From so many different worlds? Barnes asked, studying the pattern. Miller shook her head. I don't know yet, but if we can figure it out, we might be able to predict their next moves more accurately. The door opened again, and Reed walked in, followed by Captain West, whose ship had been repaired after the battle at Proxima 6. Any progress? Reed asked. Miller showed them her findings. I need more data, but there's definitely a pattern. They're not just conquering, they're searching. Reed nodded thoughtfully. Keep working on it. In the meantime, we have a more immediate issue. The Council fleet commanders are refusing to adopt our battle tactics. They keep using the same formations and strategies that the Reapers have already beaten multiple times. They're too set in their ways, West said, frustration clear in her voice. 3 centuries of peace made them forget how to adapt. Barnes, who had been quietly listening, suddenly spoke up. Then we need to show them, not tell them. Everyone turned to look at him. What do you mean? Reed asked. A demonstration, Barnes explained. A joint mission, with humans leading smaller mixed teams. Let them see our methods in action. Reed considered this for a moment, then nodded. I know just the place, Alpha Station. Alpha Station was a major fuel and supply depot that had been taken by the Reapers 3 days earlier. It was a strategic location that the Council needed to recapture, but their previous attempts had failed. Reed proposed a new approach to the Council, a small force of mixed species using human combat tactics. After much debate, they agreed to the plan, although many remained skeptical. The mission force consisted of 5 ships. The Earth vessel Defiant led the group, with Captain West in command. Each ship carried a mixed crew of humans and various Council species. They had trained together for just 3 days. Not much time, but all they could spare. As they approached Alpha Station, West gathered the commanders for a final briefing. Remember, the Reapers expect us to attack head-on, following standard Council fleet protocols, she said. Instead, we'll split into 5 teams and approach from different vectors. Communication is key. Stay in constant contact, but use the encrypted channels. Lox, a blue-skinned pilot from one of the Council worlds, looked nervous. This goes against all our training. Splitting forces is considered a fatal error. In conventional warfare, yes, West agreed. But the Reapers have already proven they can defeat conventional tactics. We need to be unpredictable. The Council commanders still looked uncertain, but they followed orders as the fleet split up and began their approach from 5 different directions. In the Earth Command Center, Reed, Miller, and Barnes watched the operation unfold on the main screen. Council members stood behind them, their expressions a mixture of hope and doubt. Alpha Team in position, came West's voice over the comm. All teams report readiness. One by one, the other teams confirmed they were in place. The Void Reaper, ships guarding Alpha Station, began to move, detecting the approaching vessels but confused by their scattered formation. Begin Phase 1, West ordered. What followed was unlike anything the Council species had ever seen. Instead of engaging in direct combat, the 5 teams performed coordinated hit-and-run attacks, striking quickly and then retreating, drawing the Reaper ships away from the station in different directions. What are they doing? Asked Counselor Drav. They're not even trying to destroy the enemy vessels. They're creating confusion, Reed explained, dividing the Reaper forces, making them chase multiple targets. Once the defending ships had been sufficiently scattered, West gave the signal for Phase 2. The human fighters launched from their ships, small, agile craft that darted between the larger vessels. They targeted the Reaper's sensor arrays and communication systems rather than trying to destroy the ships outright. They're blinding them, Barnes explained to the watching Council members, taking away their ability to coordinate. With the Reaper ships in disarray, the main attack force moved in. Using the debris field from earlier battles as cover, they approached Alpha Station itself. A team of human and Council soldiers boarded the station, fighting their way to the control center. After 20 minutes of intense combat, West's voice came through again. Alpha Station secured, enemy forces retreating. In the command center, there was a moment of stunned silence followed by cheers. The Council members looked at Reed with new respect in their eyes. Your tactics, said the crystal being, its chimes sounding almost awed. They are unorthodox but effective. Humans have always had to adapt to survive, Reed said simply. Now we need to teach your forces to do the same. Counselor Trell stepped forward. Commander Reed, I believe it's time we formally acknowledge what has become clear. Humanity may be new to the galactic stage, but you have knowledge and skills that the Council desperately needs in this war. Reed nodded, accepting the acknowledgement without pride or arrogance. Then let's get to work. The Reapers have taught us a harsh lesson about complacency. We can't afford to be slow learners. As the Council members filed out to spread the word about the victory at Alpha Station, Miller approached Reed, her eyes wide with excitement. Jack, I think I've found it. I know what the Reapers are looking for on all these worlds. What is it? Reed asked. It's not what, it's who, Miller replied. They're looking for us, for humans. What do you mean they're looking for humans? Reed asked, staring at Dr. Miller in disbelief. Miller pulled up a holographic display showing data from all the Void Reaper attacks. Every world they've hit has had human visitors or residents within the past 5 years. And look at this. She highlighted several sections of data. They've been taking DNA samples, scanning population records. At first, I thought they were just gathering general intelligence, but they're specifically focusing on human biological data. Reed frowned. But why? What's so special about humans? I think I know, Tom Barnes said quietly. Everyone turned to look at him. During my last trading run before the war started, I visited a remote outpost. There was an old alien there, not from any council species. He told me stories about the shadow beings that once nearly destroyed his civilization thousands of years ago. The Void Reapers? Captain West asked. Barnes nodded. According to him, they were finally defeated when his people discovered the Reapers had a weakness. They couldn't process certain types of brainwaves. They developed a weapon based on this discovery and drove the Reapers back. Miller's eyes widened. Human brains produce unique wave patterns compared to other council species. Our neural structure is different, more chaotic, less predictable. So, they're studying us to overcome this weakness, Reed concluded, or to eliminate us before we discover it. The room fell silent as they absorbed this information. Finally, Reed spoke again. We need to confirm this theory, and if it's true, we need to find a way to use it against them. 3 days later, a special meeting was called in the Earth Command Center. The council members gathered around a large table, looking at Reed and Miller expectantly. We've confirmed our theory, Miller announced. Human brainwaves create a disruption in Void Reaper neural systems. It's not fatal to them, but it interferes with their ability to coordinate and communicate telepathically. How did you confirm this? Counselor Trell asked. We captured a Reaper drone during the Alpha Station operation, Reed explained. Dr. Miller ran tests exposing it to various stimuli. Human brainwave patterns caused it significant distress. So humans are naturally resistant to their psychic attacks, Counselor Drav said thoughtfully. That explains why they want to eliminate your species first. It also gives us a weapon, Reed continued. We've developed a device that amplifies human brainwave patterns and broadcasts them. Initial tests show it disrupts Reaper communication systems. He placed a small metal device on the table. It looks simple, just a metal box with a few lights and controls. This is the prototype, Reed explained. We call it the Mind Shield. With your permission, we'd like to equip all fleet vessels with these devices. The council members looked at each other, then nodded in agreement. For once, there was no argument, no dismissal of human ideas. How soon can we deploy these devices? Trell asked. Production has already begun, Reed replied. We should have enough for the main fleet within a week. And what is your plan for using them? Asked the crystal being. Reed activated the holographic display showing a star system on the edge of council space. Intelligence suggests the Reapers have established their forward command base here, in the Vega system. We propose a direct attack with a combined fleet using the mind shields to disrupt their coordination. A bold plan, Trell said. But if it works? If it works, Reed finished, we can turn the tide of this war. 1 week later, the largest fleet ever assembled in Council history gathered near the jump point to the Vega system. Over 300 ships from all Council species, each equipped with a mind shield device. At the center of the formation was the Defiant, now upgraded with Council technology but still bearing Earth markings. On the bridge, Commander Reed stood beside Captain West, watching as the final preparations were made. All ships report ready, West said. Mind shields are online and functioning. Reed nodded. Begin the jump sequence. One by one, the ships activated their faster-than-light drives, disappearing in flashes of blue light as they entered the jump point. The Vega system was a red giant star surrounded by rocky planets. Orbiting the third planet was the Void Reaper forward base, a massive structure of dark metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. As soon as the Council fleet arrived, the Reapers responded. Hundreds of their ships moved to intercept, their black hulls standing out against the red glow of the star. "Activate mine shields," Reed ordered. Throughout the fleet, the devices powered up, broadcasting the unique pattern of human brainwaves across space. The effect was immediate. The previously organized Reaper formation began to falter. Ships drifted out of position, their movements becoming erratic. "They're confused," West said, watching the tactical display. "The telepathic link between their ships is breaking down." "All ships engage according to plan," Reed commanded. The Council fleet moved forward in the attack pattern that humans had designed, not as a single unit, but as multiple smaller groups, each targeting different sections of the Reaper fleet. Without their perfect coordination, the Reapers couldn't respond effectively to the multi-pronged assault. For the first time since the war began, the Council forces were winning decisively. Reaper ships fell one after another, unable to coordinate their defenses. Reed led a small strike team in a direct assault on the command base itself. The Defiant and 5 other ships broke through the weakened defenses, approaching the massive structure. "Prepare boarding teams," Reed ordered. "We need to capture their command center intact if possible." The battle for the base was fierce. The Void Reapers fought desperately, but the human-led teams pushed forward, their mind shield devices protecting them from the Reapers' psychic attacks. Finally, Reed and his team reached the central chamber of the base. Inside, they found what looked like a map of the galaxy, with Earth and several other human colonies highlighted. "This confirms it," Reed said. They were targeting human worlds specifically. With the capture of the forward base and the destruction of a significant portion of their fleet, the Void Reapers began to retreat. It wasn't the end of the war, but it was the beginning of the end. 1 month later, Commander Jack Reed walked into the rebuilt Galactic Council chamber. Gone was the military command center. The Grand Hall had been restored to its former glory, with one significant change. A new seat had been added to the circle, marked with Earth's symbol. As Reed entered, the entire council stood and applauded, something that had never happened before in the council's long history. Head Counselor Trell stepped forward. "Commander Reed, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I extend our deepest gratitude to you and to all humans. Your species, which we once dismissed as primitive, has saved us all." Trell gestured to the new seat. "Earth is hereby granted full membership in the Galactic Council, with all rights and privileges. Furthermore, the Council has unanimously voted to establish a new Galactic Defense Force, with you as its first High Commander." Reed looked around at the Council members, the same beings who had laughed at humans just months ago. Now they watched him with respect and admiration. "I accept this honor," Reed said. "Not for myself, but for all humans and for all beings who believe in standing together against any threat." As he took his seat in the council circle, Reed thought about how quickly things had changed. The council had laughed at humans until a dangerous war broke out. And then they discovered that sometimes the most unlikely species could become the greatest heroes. The galaxy would never underestimate humans again.